Hello and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we rewatch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan,
I'm Michael.
And I'm Helena.
and for this episode we watched Flubber. So do any of you guys have any nostalgia for Flubber? Because while watching it, I remembered that I had this on VHS and definitely watched it quite a few times.
I had huge nostalgia for this film, but
Yeah.
I hated it.
Okay.
Not as in
Well-
I hated it back then, I hated watching it. It's just, I had really nice memories of a film that I have, in hindsight, totally misremembered. And I remembered it significantly better than it was.
Yeah, that's how this podcast tends
That's
to
how
work.
Guys, we're gonna crack
What
the
hang
concept
on,
of
what-
nostalgia one day.
Before we get into the actual plot of the film, then, and after Michael's nostalgia, I want to know what you remember the film as being.
So I remember, I thought, in my mind's eye, when I thought about Flubber, I remembered green goo, and I remember it being sort of anthropomorphic, which is true, but it featured far more, that anthropomorphic thing. I sort of had a buddy cop kind of drama in my mind, where they had to go, he teamed up with Flubber to go and do something.
Oh, that's such a better film.
Yeah,
And go and save his relationship or do, I can't remember what, but it was like I remembered bits of scenes and I'd sort of put it together as like, yeah, the Flubber was like this lovable sidekick and he had to keep it a secret for some reason,
No,
which is just not the plot of this film.
No, he's very obvious about it. My nostalgia. Thanks for asking, guys.
We'll get into you.
No, my nostalgia is this: I think I may have seen it once when I was a kid. I remember either that or it was an advert on a different VHS that I watched.
Oh yeah, when you the unskippable ones that.
Yeah. So I don't know because I vaguely remember bits of it, but a lot of it I've never seen before. I don't think may have seen it.
Yeah, I think all I remember. I mean, when I started it and Weibo first appeared, I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I remember Weibo now." And then I forgot how fucking creepy Weibo is.
Yeah, I
Incredible.
did not remember Weibo at
Yeah,
all. And Weibo is not a good robot.
I remember. I do remember Flubber being in it more, like you do as well, Helena. Like, you know, you'd think for a film called Flubber would be in the movie a bit more.
Flubber's not that little creature though. That creature is
No.
made out of Flubber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That creature is an unnamed monster.
Which makes the whole fact that he kind of dilutes the Flubber down and rubs it on stuff even weirder, because I'm like, are those lots of tiny little
little
Little things.
little sentient
Yeah.
flubbers? Like,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I also remembered that it had the grease ending, but it turns out that the car flies way more in this than I thought, because that's what he uses Flubber for mainly, is he makes flying
making
cars.
the car fly, obviously.
Of course,
Yeah.
that explains the ending of Grease now. That's the grease car had Flubber in it.
Yeah. Flubber. It's got a Flubber.
Flubber
in it.
and what, plutonium?
Flubber loving heavens to pass. I'll just like stop my recording and
no.
leave.
I just had
Welcome to Hey, I Love That Movie with Helena and Michael.
I just had a horrible thought that might make me leave.
Oh no.
Flubber condom.
Oh, so not like the end of the film where Flubber goes inside a man.
I mean that too.
Yeah.
Flubber condom would be a nightmarish thing.
Yeah, that'd be
Ooh.
in and out very fast, but take a minute to get back.
It would.
Well, I was thinking that you'd come and then it would fire you
Okay, Helena, don't use
backwards,
the word.
bum. Oh, sorry,
This
boys
is
and girls.
this is a family-friendly podcast about a
Family.
small green sentient being wrapped around your cock while you fuck someone.
So you come and then the projectile force, the reaction would be so strong that you just be like arse first
Yeah,
out the room.
yeah.
Yeah.
Through a window inevitably, because that was Flubber's go-to move. Find
Yeah.
nearest window. Do we want to talk about the plot? I kind of don't want to talk about the plot because it's so shit
Yeah, there's
and
not.
very
Really
frustrating.
shit.
He wants to. He's a teacher and he's gonna get married, but the robot wants to fuck him, and so
Yeah.
he keeps making him
So-
forget. But he clearly has like ADHD or Asperger's or something, because he gets very focused on certain things and completely forgets about other things.
Yeah, he's like a genius inventor, but he's never very good at applying what he's actually discovered to, practical solutions or yeah.
He's made like
Important.
sentient robots and shit, and somehow that's not a big deal.
Importantly, you're forgetting this is the third time they have tried to get married.
Yeah, he keeps on
Isn't even
missing
the
their
first.
wedding.
Yeah.
Because he forgets about it because he's busy in his lab.
Which we understand why he missed this one. It was because of Flubber. Why did he miss the other two? Because clearly he hasn't been doing anything other than building those robots. Was one of them?
I think it's because the robot keeps on like not putting the reminder up for him because the robot is secretly in love with him for
Yeah.
some reason.
So the robot is actually quite well animated. I'll give it that.
Yeah, that
The
was
effects
real cool.
in this film are great. The effects close up are great. As soon as they get far away, they're bad.
Yes.
But like the close up of Flubber, which is like so Flubber is so the scientist is trying to make a renewable energy source again, which is like fine, and then it falls off when you go, oh yeah, he wants to make it so he can get funding for the school, so his university doesn't close or his school doesn't close.
Yeah.
Which is stupid because if he can invent a renewable energy source, sell that and then use that money
Yeah,
to
exactly.
he's like, I need it for this specific fund. I'm like, if you're making billions out, you don't need that fund.
No.
But that comes up later and is a point they make later in the film, and it's annoying.
I think maybe the college should be shut down.
The college should absolutely be shut down. It's got no safety standards at all. But yeah, no, he invents this green goo.
Looks like a jelly.
Yeah, from how they explain it, when it's hit with something, it reflects the energy back.
And amplifies it.
Yeah, like it breaks the rule of every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah.
Which has so many implications that they never go into.
I think that's the issue. I know it's for kids. And kids are mostly going to be like, "Oh, goo!" So he makes Flubber, and he makes these two sort of separate Flubbers. The anthropomorphic little buddy Flubber,
Yeah, which is weirdly sentient.
weirdly sentient, and that is never exploded. It's like, did he make life?
He made life because it's aware enough to do a whole musical performance.
Yeah, an entire dance sequence.
It has
Honestly,
knowledge-
best bit of the film.
It has, yeah, 100% agree. But this creature has knowledge of human history and pop culture, and I don't know where it got that knowledge from.
Robin Williams, clearly.
Yeah,
Well, that's exactly what he does in as the genie, doesn't he? But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's the Disney side of it, just being like, that would have been such a good Disney short. Just Flubber dancing.
See, I think there's a lot of potential in this film to be good. I mean, this film is one of the biggest wasted potentials I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because it's got really good actors in it.
Yes.
So
it's obviously it's Robin Williams. If people aren't aware, it's Robin Williams as the
scientist.
absent-minded professor. It's a remake. This isn't the first
Yeah,
Flubber.
No,
I didn't realize
no.
that until like after it finished on Disney Plus, and it's like if you liked this, you might want to watch
It's
the
called
movie it's
something-
based on, The Absent-Minded Professor.
That's it, the
Yeah.
absent-minded
From like
professor,
this, I think it's 1961. It said.
which I
Yeah,
haven't
it's
seen
a
in a
black and
while.
white film.
Yeah,
But yeah, so he invents this green nightmare creature.
green symbiote.
Yeah,
It's
he
like
invents-
green venom.
Yeah, he invents a green version of the monster from Life.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Or imagine like Venom, but he can like bounce around the city.
Venom, but chubby.
Yeah.
Venom, but the thing. Yeah, which the first time we meet Flubber is a weird scene anyway, because he starts bouncing around the wall and then goes into his neighbor's house, follows a woman around.
There's a weird butt joke. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a weird
Hmm.
butt joke, and then there's this poor kid who is traumatized for the rest of his life.
That kid, like every time that kid's scene comes up, and he's just getting weirder and weirder shit happening to him.
Poor
Yeah, we
kid.
keep saying like he's obviously scared of like going to bed. He's had
Poor
nightmares or something,
child.
and his dad's like, "There's nothing to be scared of. Like nothing's gonna come through this window. Look at this. Taps on the glass. You know, nothing's coming through."
And
Seconds
smash.
later, Flubber smashes through the window.
To be fair, his neighbor made a horny flying robot and a robot that tries to clean everything.
And make
I wouldn't
breakfast.
be I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't the first time this kid has seen something.
Yeah. Just like some fried eggs flying through the window.
Oh, whilst creating Flubber, he forgets to go to his wedding
Yes, that too.
because his wife, who owns the school, I don't know, she's important in the school. It's never
Is she the
properly
dean?
explained. Maybe principal. I don't know. I don't know what kind of school it is. He forgets their wedding, which to begin with, they don't live together, which is weird.
I
They
mean, the
don't-
amount of times he blows the place up, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I mean,
she
I'm
probably
not, I'm
wouldn't
not
want to be.
surprised. But yeah, third time miss the wedding because it's the robot, the horny flying robot, hides the fact that it's the wedding.
Yeah, she deletes the entry that says wedding.
So the wife is annoyed at him, rightfully so, like
Yeah.
100% rightfully so.
She deserves so much better. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't really do anything wrong.
No, she
Except
doesn't do
for
anything
being
wrong.
in, and I think that's one thing that's part of what bugs me is that we get introduced to the characters and they're together,
Yeah.
but you don't see why? There's no love. There's no
No.
like. They don't seem to actually enjoy each other's company. He seems
They-
he's just obsessed with his work. He doesn't even remember they're getting married that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
It's
just
like,
no
what's-
connection between
Yeah,
them
there's
at
no
all.
connection. So I'm like, when he doesn't turn up and she's like, "That's it," I'm like, yeah. Why
Yeah,
would you?
fair.
Like, I mean, once is like, okay, if something really groundbreaking, I guess if someone had broken the laws of physics, I might be like, look, okay, fine, but this can
Like,
never happen again.
one time. Yeah.
But 3 times, no, like, I'd take the hint.
Yeah, and also she's kind of framed as the bad guy for a lot of it. Like,
Yeah,
she's
which makes
kind
no
of
sense.
framed
So
as-
is the other scientist is like the villain. Well, there's 2 villains, but he's one of the villains that likes to. The guy says that
which he is because he's a dick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's a
trying
dick
to
and
he's
he's
trying to
trying to
fuck her. Yeah.
Yeah.
he is trying to fuck her, and he is weirdly aggressive about it. But at the same time, he actually seems attracted to her.
Well, yeah, like I was thinking that I was like, if the only reason the main character is not seen or portrayed as a villain, as a bad person, is because the other scientist is trying to sleep with his fiance because he sees her as a prize, not because he actually cares about her.
Yeah.
And I think that's like if he actually cared, if the other guy actually cared and wasn't a dick about it, I like you couldn't make the main character be the good guy. He would just be the bad guy through all of the film. And
I would have preferred a film where it was about like the absent-minded professor losing everything and sort of hitting rock bottom because he's so obsessed with his work.
yeah, and actually understanding that
You just
Well,
get a scene at the end where he's like, I don't know, he's getting Flubber to shoot him in the head or something.
No, all he's got left is his flubber lube.
dangerous.
I mean, he basically
Dangerous.
makes flubber lube anyway for
He
like
does.
hands and stuff. So
Yeah, so he mixes Flubber, a bit of Flubber in with some hand cream or like some
Yeah,
body lotion or whatever
it's
in
a
a little
hand
tub,
cream.
and he rubs it on stuff, and it makes that stuff super bouncy.
including
Yeah.
like golf balls and
Bowling balls.
which keep on hitting the like villain's henchman in the
Yeah.
head.
So the other villain in this, which we mentioned but we didn't go into, is the dad of a student who's being failed by this teacher at the school. Who his evil villain dad happens to be like an evil mobster, and he sends out his 2 like henchmen to find Robin Williams' professor and like try and like find out how to get him to give the son an A. Essentially,
Yeah, because he's tried to convince the
School.
professor that he needs an A, but
Yeah.
he's managed to get all the other teachers on side, or strong on them or whatever. But
Yeah.
the absent-minded professor is so absent-minded that he just
he has
doesn't.
he has principles.
Yeah,
My favorite thing about that group, the henchmen and the villain, is the henchmen are definitely like implied to be a couple.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I
I
quite,
think you tend to
weird.
get that with like henchmen like that, where it's like, yeah,
No, I mean like a romantic couple, because at one point, so they get hit in the head by the flubbered up
the
bowling
golf ball
ball
and bowling ball, yeah.
And when they're like sat back and trying to explain what happened, the evil boss asks, "Did you drink anything?" And they say, "Yeah, I had 2 beers," and he had a wine with dinner, which implied that they had dinner together in like a romantic
Yeah.
setting.
yeah. No, it's cute, and they.
Yeah, like it's not like look at these 2, they're lovable friends. It's like no, it's implied that they're together. Like yeah, no, go all out. I have the guts to be able to do that. Is brilliant.
So after standing up his fiancée, he
Yeah.
tries to prove to her the importance of his discovery, not by like just showing her or writing a scientific paper
Yeah,
or showing anyone else his discovery and like revealing it to the scientific community. He puts some of it in his pocket and jumps out the window, hoping to land on his butt and bounce back.
yeah. And Flubber leaves his trousers and he falls 3 stories. And
Yeah, it
almost
doesn't
dies.
seem like it's safe to suggest to kids that that's a safe different distance to fall and land on your back.
He
Yeah,
was, like,
definitely not.
perfectly fine.
Like he
Yeah.
should have been paralyzed,
Should have,
if not
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
And then after that, his great idea on how to show that Flubber actually works is there's a failing basketball team, and he like puts some of the
Cheats.
Flubber gel on their hands by like high-fiving them, and yeah, cheats.
Fundamentally, his idea that she'll want me back if she works out how important Flubber is dumb, because that isn't the problem.
Yeah.
Like the problem with their relationship isn't but Flubber works. It isn't that she doesn't care about Flubber. It's that she cares that he doesn't care. He clearly
Yeah,
doesn't
he doesn't
care
want to
about
come
the
second
relationship.
every single time.
Yeah, and even in the end of the film, it kind of feels like that's still happening.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get to the end because so problematic.
Like it's so weird watching him be like, but she'll understand Flubber's important. She'll understand Flubber's important. I can change. I can save the school with this. Not
Yeah.
change the world, which is what it would do.
Yeah.
I can save the school with this. And at no point does he just go, maybe I should just talk to her.
And there's also the bet, basically the other scientist that wants to swoop in and like take the fiance. He's way too pushy, and she does basically shut him down.
Yeah.
But she's like, if we win, I can't remember what exactly, but if our team loses
If our
against
team
your
loses,
team, because he's from the rival college, so it's a varsity whatever sports match. If our team wins, you'll leave. If our team loses, you can take me out for dinner.
Yeah.
Oh no, she'll take him out for dinner if her team wins. If his team wins, he'll take her to the mountains for a weekend.
Yeah, like a long weekend in the mountains. Which again isn't inherently creepy. That is like, if he wasn't creepy and he wasn't a jerk and like saw her as a prize, that'd be fine and like a little bit romantic.
It's just it's such a weird like position to be in though. Like, this guy's obviously like, he's made money and he's made his success off of the absent-minded professor's, I can't remember his name anyway, the Flubber dude's previous discoveries, where he's actually made them into something workable.
His name is Philip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
News to me.
Flubber professor.
Flubber.
Flubber.
Flubber. No, that's Mr. Bean.
Yeah. Flubber.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate this film.
So he's had this. He's taken like this guy Philip's discoveries and made them into something actually useful or marketable, and that's how he's, in Philip's eyes, stolen his discoveries, and in his eyes, he's actually made something of the discoveries that Philip's made that Philip wasn't going to do.
And again, if he wasn't such a dick about it, would be fine.
Yeah,
So
like they could be working together, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but why does he want Philip's sloppy seconds?
Well,
Like, he's not that great.
Like, it's kind of implied that they may have had a relationship before, or it's just like, I don't like that he slept with her and I haven't. Is kind of the vibe the film has. But again, if he wasn't an arsehole, the vibe could have been, I'm actually in love with her, you're ignoring her.
Yeah.
And putting your work first, which again is fine. But yeah, their relationship's never really explained. Their like history is never really explained.
Yeah, the dean she's so like one-dimensional. All she serves is to be this person that's in love with Philip, and that's so shit because, this is a woman that's a principal of a science college. Like, she could have been quite an interesting and important role model, and instead she's just got little heart eyes.
Yeah, she's a lampshade in a dress, which is like the ultimate like women in film trope is you can replace her with a lampshade in a dress and the film won't change that much.
I mean, yeah, the robot has more emotion and lines and dialogue and like interest.
And the only like female coded thing, the robot, which is the only female coded thing that has a personality. The personality is jealous assistant.
Jealous because the robot wants to fuck Philip for some reason.
And she does go a bit far, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I was at the start of this film. I was like, "This robot's going to kill someone." By the end of this film,
and the bit with the hologram that she makes,
that
was genuine. That had been fully scrubbed, but from my brain, I did not. She develops this 3D image of it, like an ideal woman that she'd like to look like, but it's so ghostly, and she's just projecting it out from, and like she's still this floating robot projecting
so creepily.
But she she lays down in front of him and she like leans over him, and honestly, if I woke up to a basically a ghost on top, I would have shit myself. It was so creepy.
You could so easily take that concept of like the assistant robot that's actually super jealous and make it into a horror film.
Yeah.
And have most of the scenes stay the same.
The weird thing about this as well is that he obviously programmed this robot. Like,
Well, that's the thing. Unlike the other woman in this film, we do get a bit of backstory when she, when Weibo gets like beaten with a baseball bat, which, to be fair, I wasn't mad about. Like that was deserved. I was waiting for someone to beat up Weibo. So she's essentially dying, and he was saying that he'd made her, but he didn't think he could replicate her because it was sort of a one-off fluke. because he's a shit scientist.
He's a
Yeah,
shit
he's
scientist.
just winging it.
Scientists do experiments to try and sort of prove their theories wrong, and they do it they do
You
multiple
replicate.
experiments and replicate and do consultants, and they get people in to sort of see what they can do differently. They write papers on it. They give talks and papers and have loads and loads of assistants helping them to do the same experiment, so that they make sure it's not just like random. It's actually something that they know is true. And
Yeah,
he
he's
just
not-
doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, he's not a scientist because he doesn't write anything down.
I mean, he takes voice notes, but I couldn't tell if he was taking voice notes or talking to himself.
I think he was just talking to himself because there was never anything recording it.
I mean, Weibo probably was.
Yeah, I guess that's
So
why.
the car is run
Yeah.
on is Flubber. Another,
Yes,
thankfully,
which-
an unsentient bit of Flubber
Well,
in the
no,
engine.
This is the thing is the idea is that he wants to turn Flubber into energy because it's an infinite amount of energy because it replicates force. It amplifies force that's applied to
Yeah.
it. So technically, it creates an infinite amount of ever-growing energy. The problem is the one bit of Flubber that we've actually seen that's like big enough to do that is this sentient creature. So was his plan to just make more of these sentient creatures and shove them inside an engine?
Well, he puts some in the engine of his car, doesn't he? And then he fires radiation at it at the opposite direction that he wants to go, including up and down, which is why the car can fly. And he's
How
like,
does he
this is going to
control
change
it?
how transport works. And I'm like, so your solution is to put a shit ton of radioactive material in every car?
Yeah, that's safe.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Like,
sure car accidents would. Helena, you've been playing Fallout 3 recently. You know what happens
I
when you
have,
shoot
so
one
I
of those
was-
cars.
yeah. I was a little bit like, I can see this backfiring.
Oh
Especially
no!
when
If the
that's
car
Mario.
backfires, it's got...
Wait, that makes the whole scene. Well, that didn't even occur to me. That makes the whole scene when he's flying and the car stops
yeah,
and
he's just
starts to plummet to the ground. He's essentially made a nuke.
Yeah, imagine if
Yeah.
a plane hit the car while it was in midair. He just blow a fucking
Yeah.
plane out of the air.
Also,
Like,
I don't know how he's containing the radiation, but radiation is quite difficult to contain.
yeah, Flubbers.
Well,
Flubber,
certain
more
things are.
Flubber.
Like, you've got, like, smoke alarms use radiation, don't they? They're a little
Yeah.
bit of radioactive stuff in it. So we do have, like,
They're not-
day-to-day uses, but not at this scale.
Nothing
And
to-
also, I don't think I want radioactive material to be that readily available.
yeah,
Just
no, how
seems
do
like
you...
a bad...
yeah,
maybe
like a
maybe that's
basic
Fallout
car
going...
crash is just gone.
Yeah, but yeah, no. So he makes a flying car. I can't work out how it goes up and down. I only
Well, the Flubber
wheel-
carries it, but I don't know how it stays stable.
No, how do you control it? going
Why
up
does
and
it not
down?
go up on it first?
Well,
Yeah.
But like, how do you control it going up and down?
Well, you point the radiation underneath it.
Okay, no, but physically, how do you do that in the car?
Well,
So
he
you-
had that weird.
you
If you
have
look
a
under the
steering
hood,
wheel.
it did have like. Oh, with the steering wheel. Actually, that's a good point.
It's
He
like
doesn't
that's
change
what
the
you do.
steering wheel.
So you have a steering wheel. How do you go up and down with a steering wheel that only goes left and right?
Yeah, you
Uh,
got
this
yeah.
2 steering wheels.
Maybe maybe he put in like a plain one.
Yeah.
Or he put like a little so you could actually push it forwards and backwards.
Or maybe like the brake, you lift that up, it goes up, you push it down. Maybe something like that. But yeah, no, the way that he's just turning the wheel and it's going like it's ascending and descending. I
Yeah.
hate it because it's how is it doing that?
So one bit that I did actually like that I didn't remember at all, but like Weibo is weirdly, considering how much she loves him, unwilling to get in the car with him.
1000%, yeah, it's great.
And I did enjoy that because she's immediately proven right that he
Yeah.
is just the worst driver. And now he's got a radioactive car that
He's got-
flies.
He's
sort
got
of.
a bomb car.
A bomb
Yeah.
car that also, if the Flubber's like exponential force,
Yeah.
that isn't gonna stop. Like that car crashing is world ending.
Yes. Well, that was also my thinking throughout this is technically a piece of flubber will never lose energy. It will only keep making more. So you have to work out how to stop it, or else you're going to have this like exponential growth of energy, which is an explosion.
Yeah.
Like, which is, I think, the technical definition of explosion. Yeah, but we're not talking about the story anymore. We're just
No.
complaining about the science.
Just complaining about the physics.
I think
of
that
it.
that is something though that as you get older, like your suspension of disbelief. This film takes the piss with that. I think that was my problem. Like it's just
explains-
it's so ridiculous.
yeah, it
Because
explains
it's not so much the science, but just like the lack of like scientific stuff.
Yeah, it's
Like I
more
can
of a-
believe that he's made something that can make your car fly. Like that's fine. It's then when they're putting it into practice, and he doesn't do any other stuff that you'd expect a scientist to do.
Exactly.
That's what's hard. And I'm like,
Like-
this guy isn't a genius. He's an imbecile.
It also explains it just enough, but what it uses to explain it doesn't make any sense. Like it's like, oh yeah, these things they create energy by moving really fast. It's like, okay, how does that make a car fly? We ignore that. It makes a bowling ball go real high though.
Yeah, it keeps
Also,
bouncing down and just hitting. Those guys should be dead.
Yes,
like
you can't have a bowling ball hit you at any speed and
You
be
can't-
okay.
you can't have a golf ball hit you at that speed and be okay.
No.
Like
No.
neither of those people should be walking.
And like all the kids that he put little flubber sticks on the bottom of their shoes for like
Yep.
basketball. If they don't know how to control that, they're just gonna fucking fly up and hit the ceiling and
And he doesn't
break their
tell
neck.
them.
No.
I have two problems with that as a scene. Number one, so the way he does it, he gets tacks, puts the flubber bits on them, and then sprays them. So as they walk, the paint comes off, and then they can flubber jump eventually. The
Yeah.
problem with that is, as soon as you spray flubber with anything, it will bounce back twice as hard as you put it in. So
Yeah,
as
so what,
the-
would you not just get aerosoled?
He's
flubber
gonna
at
spray
that
himself
point?
in the
an
face.
incredible force of tiny paint particles flying at your face,
Yeah, can you imagine what that would do to your lungs?
right?
Like just the act of breathing in flubber particles.
At full speed. Like how you can't spray flubber. One of the rules of flubber is you cannot do anything to it. That
I
was
feel
my
like he's made the new asbestos.
yeah, right. The second problem is again, you can't jump with flubber shoes and then suddenly stop yourself. That's
No,
not how
no,
flubber
exactly.
works. How are these kids stopping themselves from just bouncing infinitely? I got really annoyed at that scene. I think
Well,
I
it was
wrote
kind of watered
lot of
down,
notes about
I
it.
guess.
but you
So it
can't
was only a little bit extra flubber.
no, but by the rules of flubber,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter
I
how
know.
much
Yeah.
flubber it is.
It's
you
still bouncing.
it does the same thing.
And like that basketball, when he's like dribbling the basketball, that should have been getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, they shouldn't have been able to stop it. to
It
then
would have
throw it.
exploded.
Also, he also slaps a kid on the butt, and I'm not
Yeah, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like that
Yeah.
bit.
with his flubber hands.
Yeah.
And how did his
Weird.
hand not skyrocket away?
Again,
Yeah, just-
again. This film has very few.
Yeah, it's like I
rules.
don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind that the film has rules. It just doesn't follow them.
No.
Yeah, no, this film has very few rules it asks you to abide by, and then it refuses to abide by any of them, and that's why it annoys me so much.
well, one thing that I did like in this was how Flubber looked. Like I think you started talking about it earlier, but like yeah, how they got like the refractions and stuff. Like because obviously it's sort of see through, but it's reflecting things in different
It's
angles
translucent.
and stuff. Yeah.
And yeah.
Genuinely incredible for 1998.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks so good, and it's really like that is held up, and that's why I was thinking like that scene, the proper flubber
The flubber
scenes.
scenes.
Yeah.
Great little Disney short from in front of
Yeah,
a
that's
new
like-
release.
But the flubber, the problem that they did with flubber is it looked amazing. It was a really good character. The little flubber creature, really solid. It had a ton of personality. It moved really well. It looked like an actual person. It could do a lot. It was great. And then they went, but this isn't a character in the film. This is a character for the trailer. Like
Yeah, he's just not used, or it's just not
No.
used. I guess it's pretty agender with being a green blob and all.
Yeah.
It's used for the trailer, and that it's like the worst time I've ever seen it in a film. Is they went in the trailer. We can't explain what flubber is as a material. We have to show it something. So they made this thing, and then they were like, "That'll get kids to watch it." It bothered me.
Yeah, and I'd have totally watched a film, and I think that's why I remembered it so fondly in my head was because I remembered Flubber
Yeah.
so much more than anything else that my brain just reworked my memory of Flubber until that was the main character.
Yeah,
Which
and
isn't exactly much of a stretch when it's the title.
and you don't have to change this film that much to have it as a scientist and his assistant that is this weird little flubber creature.
Even something along the lines of like he wants to tell the scientific community about Flubber, but Flubber doesn't want to be discovered for whatever reason.
Because it's
Well, yeah,
a
he
sentient
Doesn't want to be
being.
exploited. Yeah,
Yeah,
doesn't want to be
'cause-
exploited.
And like that's a good story. And then him explaining that to his his ex-fiance, and them not getting on with it because she's a scientist, so she'd be like, we should show.
Yeah, well, like,
Yeah.
she wants to save her college, and this discovery would put them back on the map.
That's such a better story if
Yeah.
she was an actual scientist and she said, and he came to her with this material and was like, it bounces forever. She'd be like, oh my god, that's amazing. We need to tell the world. And he was like, I can't, but I can't tell you why not, because it's sentient and that's so much harder to explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the film is her like gradually learning that no, it is actually a sentient creature.
Yeah, and she's trying to approach it the same way that you would like a lab rat or something.
Yeah, because I mean, when
Yeah.
he's first showing Flubber to her as well, like whenever she's looking at it, it's not in person shape.
hides.
It's
No,
like
no, yeah,
hiding
yeah.
Oh, it
as
goes
just
blobby.
a blob. Yeah,
And then that'd be such a better film.
Yeah.
Because you'd have like her having an arc where she isn't just a lampshade in a dress, and you can have this sort of the story of her learning that not only is it a sentient creature, it's intelligent.
Yeah,
The absent-minded
exactly.
professor could have some fucking empathy. That would be
Yeah.
nice. That'd be a good example for the kids.
And it
Yeah.
can do a dance, and it can do whatever it is, a mamba. I forgot what it is.
It's the Flubber
Samba?
Mamba.
Yeah, samba, whatever it is.
Lumba.
Yeah.
And like having that scene and having like her there to watch it and be like, "What is that thing?" Like I think that's such a good a story, and it'd be so good to teach kids about empathy.
I
Yeah.
could imagine like the scene directly after the dance scene being like her just dropping a glass because she's watched the whole thing in like shock and awe.
Yeah, and like the next scene is her sat on the sofa going, "No, did it samba?"
She drops the glass and it bounces back up and hits her in the face.
Yeah. Like that's such a good, and yeah, it could teach kids empathy because this film doesn't teach kids anything, and it's a Disney film. That's what they're supposed to do.
For a film that's about science, allegedly,
Yeah,
there's no proper science in it.
Yeah, it's not
There's
science.
no proper love in it.
No real
There's nothing.
story.
There's no. The story is so meaningless because there's no proper empathy or love in it.
Yeah.
I don't care if this girl and this professor get together. I don't really think he deserves her, and I think she deserves better, and she needs to get some blooming self-respect.
yeah, she really does deserve better. I don't like anyone in this film but her.
I don't
want-
even like her that much because I feel like at some point, like, fool me once, shame on me, but stand me up to at my own wedding at the
3
altar 3 times.
Yeah,
Yeah, like move on. Find someone who values you. They'd be out there.
I don't care what happens to the other two. The creepy friend guy who wants to sleep with her because he sees her as a prize. I want him to fail. I want his life to be a failure. Scientist, I don't care what happens to. I want her to do well
Yeah.
because she's clearly worked hard to become like the principal of a Harvard-like science school. I don't know. So later in the film, the mob boss, because the friend kind of disappears, he kind of just fades away and he's not in the film anymore. But the mob boss is in it, and at one point he does say to them, because he understands that this thing will make a lot of money.
Yeah,
Flubber will make a
exactly,
lot of
yeah.
money. So he says, "Oh, why don't you sell it? If you sell the idea, you can have you've got an infinite amount of money here, blah de blah." And the scientist goes, "No, we want to save the school." Guess
Yeah,
what else will
that's
save the school?
Yeah, money will save the school.
you don't need to win this very specific grant to save the school because the grant gives you a specific amount of money that then saves the school. If you sell it, big
Don't they
brain,
sell it to Ford anyway at the end?
more money.
Yeah, exactly. Sell it to Ford for flying cars.
More money is it was such an annoying scene because of him just going no, like that was the morally correct thing to do.
Which,
And
like,
so
you know,
what he does
if
is
you
he's like,
actually
"We're gonna
cared about Flubber being a sentient being more, would make sense, but he
Yeah,
doesn't.
but it doesn't. because
His
Flubber
argument is,
isn't a
we want to
sentient
save the
creature.
school.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's not much interaction with him and the Flubber, like sentient Flubber at all, really.
No,
Yeah.
the whole Flubber Mumbo thing is just, I think
It's
Weibo
completely
sees
separate. Yeah, yeah.
it. Yeah.
And
does
even
it
then,
for
like
fun.
Weibo doesn't
Yeah.
react that much. And in that scene, when he said no, I want to save the school, I wanted the big villain to go, "What?" I'm sorry.
Yeah, my son goes there. I don't want the school to shut down either. Like,
Yeah,
I think we're on the same side here.
You understand that if you got more money, you can fund the school more rather than have it be on the brink of collapse at any
Yeah,
moment.
you could have your own grant that you give to other struggling universities.
Yeah, you can do. I just wanted the villain to be like, "You understand how money works." Yeah, and then they have the fight scene at the end because she comes around, and I wasn't really paying attention to that bit.
So yeah, they basically the mob boss is like, look, we're going to steal the technology off you and get our scientist to work on it. Guess which scientist it is? Shucks, it's the only other scientist you're introduced to in the film. So that's where he's been because he does disappear, and we get the horrible scene where he swallows Flubber and
Yeah,
it
they-
goes out his arse.
Yeah, they
'cause
have a
Flubber
fight
bounces
scene.
around inside of him.
I was
Yeah,
like, oh, are we going to get a gross slime vomit scene?
No,
It's
No,
somehow
he
so much
rips a-
worse that it
it
rips
blows-
a hole in his trousers.
Flubber blows out his back door.
The only thing you wouldn't like that they didn't show is his guts exploding out of him
Yeah.
as well, because he would
Yeah.
not be in one piece after that.
Yeah, all the twists and turns of the intestines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, no, Flubber just bouncing through, Flubber just ripping through that. A thing that can like go through
Breaks glass.
most materials. Yeah,
Like
Exactly.
skin, internal organs are not going to be a problem for this bad boy.
No, I do like. Here's the thing: is I do like the idea of someone spraying their hands with flubber to fight. That's very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, like the fast fight, like bouncy fighting is pretty fun.
Big fan of that scene as a concept. Not a fan of the flubber butt explosion. That could not exist in a film, and I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. No, I didn't enjoy that scene at all.
And again, he was perfectly okay. But yeah, that's the end of it, and then the happy ending there together.
And they're on the
And they
flying
have
car.
they save they can't save Weebo, baseball batted
No.
Weebo.
They make it
but-
Weebo too. We bet.
Yep. And
Maybe.
she calls them mum and dad.
That's so
And they call
creepy.
Flubber their son.
Oh, that's so much.
And it's so weird.
That's so creepy.
So creepy.
Oh, that's so.
I mean, I'm glad
creepy.
that the absent-minded professor isn't, reproducing, because bad idea.
Did they
But
actually get married in the end?
they have the wedding, but he doesn't even turn up. Weebet, live streams his face, very COVID era, live streams his face and flies down the altar with her. Like
Yep.
he's experimenting the entire time.
And then at the
Okay.
end,
lab.
He hasn't changed.
yeah. Then at the
No.
end, they get into the flying car, and that poor kid gets fucking traumatized again because he's
Yeah.
on an aeroplane, looks out the window, and he sees a fly. It's the grease ending. It's just
Yeah.
the grease ending.
It made me
Yeah.
very cross. This film really upset me because there's been a few films where we've watched them and I've been like, okay, yeah, that wasn't great, but I still enjoyed the nostalgia. Like mine, I had nostalgia for like something that didn't exist. Like I remembered a different film,
Yeah.
and that's gone now. I'll never get that back. Flubber took
Yeah.
something from me this time.
We've finally
lost
broken a
something
cast
with
member.
Flubber. We have. We
I was
finally
gutted
did
because
that.
I was really looking forward to watching this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So,
what would
well,
you
yeah.
rate it then out of 10 flubbers dancing with each other?
I would give it 3 weirdly sexual clips from Weibo
Yeah.
out of 10.
Yeah.
I really liked. I mean, Weibo in a way was sort of the same because I did actually enjoy her characters, like the little animated clips that she used. Because obviously, because it's a Disney film, they have access to so many clips to use for her like emotions,
Yeah.
and that was really cool, and I really enjoyed that. But that's kind of it. And obviously the Flubber scenes, which I'd have enjoyed just watching those bits.
Yeah.
I want
Best of
Flubber
Flubber.
2,
Yeah.
where they, where it's a proper buddy cop movie, and they've got to go and I don't know, get back their kidnapped wife or something.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah.
What about you, Mikey? How did you feel about this film?
Like 3. I think the same. I think 3 flubber caused prolapses. Out of 10. Just because I think this film has so much potential to be a much better film than it
Yeah.
was. It doesn't have any kind of message for kids. It's the point of a kids film. It's kind of meant to have a message. It's like the easiest part of a kids film is
Yeah.
to have a simple moral message. It doesn't have any of that. We, in the space of what, 30, 45 minutes, we came up with a much better story.
I came up with a much better story in my head as a child,
Yeah.
Yeah,
thinking about this
exactly.
film and misremembering it over the years.
It's such a waste.
There's
of
no
potential.
excuse. I don't know if they just felt like they had to stick to the plot of the old movie.
And none of the characters are good. They're all terrible people again.
Yeah.
And then none of them are none of it's redeemable.
Yeah, the lesson is if you love someone, they can treat you like shit.
Yeah, they can actively ignore you and focus on whatever they want. And it's your fault for not understanding.
If it's important to them, it's important.
Essentially, if a guy is obsessed with something, leave them the fuck alone. Because that's clearly more important than you are. You're secondary.
Ugh, I'm getting cross.
Yeah, no.
Dan, what did you think?
I'd probably give this a 4 times the henchman should have died. Like
Leave them
each
alone.
probably.
They are a couple. They are a married couple.
Like that bowling
have
ball
dinner
would have
together.
gone through his head.
Oh, yeah.
golf
And then
ball
you'd
would
have bits of brain and skull bouncing faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, it is also implied that golf ball and that bowling ball are continually bouncing
Yeah.
faster off of the planet.
You'd have exponential gore after a
At s-
while.
At some
At
point,
some point, they're going to break the atmosphere, aren't they?
Yeah,
And
it's
just
a-
float around space.
which is dangerous because if anything hits it,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this could have ended with them flying off in their little just married car, and then the bowling ball smashes through the
Oh,
car,
perfect.
obliterates it. They're falling to their death, but they start bouncing,
it
and the
hits
world
the-
ends.
it hits the bit of radioactive material. There's an explosion.
No, it hits the plane that the
Yeah.
kid's in.
Yeah.
The end. Hits the wing. It goes down. The end.
They look at each other, they shrug, and they fly
It's-
away in their car as the plane crashes in the
Yeah,
background.
Yeah, it's them flying away as the plane hits the ground, and a much better ending for this film.
And with those several people that have just died at the end of a Disney movie for kids,
Yep.
I have been
Hey,
Dan.
A better message than the actual film. I have been Michael.
And I've been Helena.
You can find this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at HiltonPod. That's at HILTM Pod. Let us know what you do with an infinitely bouncy thing.
No sex
I
jokes.
don't actually
No,
know.
Yeah.
no,
Not that.
definitely don't use the Flubber lube to have a wank with, or you'd rip it off.
Full blood. Don't swallow it either. Hold on, there's a bit of mint out. I reckon eat it. I'm gonna eat the mint.
Eat the mint. Be brave.
It's one of those really strong mint.
Wow.
Oh, ones
you're
that
hard.
make your eyes run when you're trying to eat it.
Mm-hmm. Water was a bad idea.
We're joined in the studio by Michael, who cannot drink water.
I can no.
We're
that's-
also joined by Helena,
Who cannot
has
breathe.
a flubber of her own coming out of her nose.
And we're
Oh.
joined by Steve Jobs
It's cozy.
in his turtleneck.
It's literally just a fleece that I've done all the way up.
Nerd.
Yeah.